5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! This is what we do! Everyone in Taipei, say hi! We are here! Yep. It's 2 o'clock in Berkeley and we're still alive. Going to Indonesia, Bali.
It was awesome and cool, but as soon as I land here at Bali, I'm sweating profusely and I'm reminded of my home country, India.
Oh, we've been traveling for a day.
And we're losing the luggage, losing and gaining.
And losing our minds.
and apparently losing 10 pounds.
10 pounds too.
And our luggage.
Luggage, he almost lost his luggage. We made it to Georgia.
Made it.
It's been 2 days of traveling.
Here in Yogyakarta at the Jesuit community in Klosani, which is where some of the priests who work in the parish and also many of the scholastics here in Yogyakarta live. We're doing theology at so it's a Dharma university.
To officially welcome all of you, our guests from Berkeley. Actually, 2 days ago, I already welcome you, but officially.
Thank you.
The Indonesia Theological Immersion course at the Jesuit School of Theology focuses on Islam as it is lived and practiced in Indonesia. The course concentrates on 4 critical areas of study: Islam, Indonesia, theology of religions, and contextual interreligious dialogue. Faculty and students began these explorations in the fall of the academic year, culminating with travel to Indonesia for study and dialogue with Muslim and Christian communities.
So a lot of what we were experiencing here was the dialogue of life. Even though we don't live here, we've made it our home for 3 weeks. We've interacted with locals who live here. We've slept, eaten, breathed Java and the life here in Indonesia.
Common word. 1, 2, 3. Common word. This is all of us. Indonesia, Yogyakarta 2015.
We have been on a long journey. We call ourselves this experience for the Jesuit School of Theology at the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, California, a pilgrimage. We talk about the fact that we have begun this journey to Indonesia last spring. The Roman Catholic Church teaches that 4 critical dialogues are needed to promote and sustain positive interreligious relations: dialogue of life, dialogue of spiritual experience, dialogue of common works, and dialogue of theological study.
Common word is a response from the Muslim side to the Pope Benedict's Regensburg address, calling Christians and Muslims living together in harmony and respect one another's tradition. Our common word, rooted in both Quranic teaching and in the scriptures, that we shall love our God with all our heart, all our mind, all our body, and we love one another as ourselves.
This course guides students to explore fully the teachings of Vatican II concerning world religions. These teachings claim that the Catholic Church rejects nothing that is true and holy in the world's religions, and that in differing ways these traditions reflect a ray of the truth which enlightens all people.
Here I try to facilitate the 2 groups from JST and from ICRS can learn and enrich together for special topic about the common world.
There was, of course, the awkward first day where people weren't quite sure what the class was going to be like. And there were language barriers, which was difficult to overcome in certain instances, but with time and patience, those were overcome.
Remember again, as we said yesterday, the common word is a commencement. It is a beginning. It doesn't say everything that needs to be said, but it starts us out in the study, in the dialogue, in the prayer. And so hopefully today is one more way that we deepen or go further in the journey of the common word.
What does interreligious dialogue mean to me? I think it means treating people as humans, as brothers and sisters first and foremost, and thinking about how much we share in common and how much we can learn from each other.
Indonesian Muslims say that it is really simple. How can you say 3 is 1? It is 1, it is 2, it is 3. How can you say it is 1? So it is not acceptable. Yeah. This is this very simple logic of the common people in Indonesia.
People who interpret the Quran textually, there is a forbidden. Muslim and non-Muslim cannot marry.
Religious dialogue is a thoughtful theological conversation with the religious other that's both about trying to understand areas of commonality, both in faith and practice and ethics, but it's also about growing a deeper respect for where there are real differences and understanding where those differences are in a spirit of humility and respect.
So how do you make room for the religious other? Not just inviting them in to your crowded space, but you make room in your space for the religious other.
We were invited to take a tour of a pesantren, which is an Islamic boarding school for really young kids up through high school. And I think there were more than 3,000 students there, boys and girls. I think that they said it was the largest pesantren in the city. And I enjoyed interacting with the students and seeing how eager they were to host us, to welcome us, to talk with us about the U.S. and how tall I was and different things like that.
I think the image that really moved me the most is I saw a long line of kids coming from their dorm, and they were running. You know, most of them were just, from the look of their face, they were just waking up from a nap, and they're just washing their face so that they can stay awake for the call to prayer, and they were running toward the mosque.
The experience of interreligious dialogue here in Indonesia has been for me an experience of friendship, of human relationships. More than anything, I've been really experiencing the desire of God for me to get to know God's people here in this culture, in this country, in this religion. One of the excursion that really marked me was the day when we visited one of the Muslim saints' tomb. We were invited to journey with other Muslim families that were present at that place. So you can picture a shrine with zillion of stairs that were leading up to heaven. We had to pass through several gates, and every time we were passing through a gate, we had to actually bow down.
Common Word Project is a significant initiative towards building up peace and reconciliation. In fact, it is a unique project on behalf of Islamic religion. They are ready to open their hearts to other religions, and for me the common word is love. I find love is the best place where one can begin. My favorite site was visiting Prambanan. Coming from India, I could see the difference between these holy sites. I could see how the architecture, how the sites have been kept very neat and clean. It inspires everybody to go forward to attain nirvana.
For me, I felt the deeper connection with the Christian places, especially like the shrines, because like those are places that I knew where to be, or I kind of had an idea of how to be reverent. what was interesting at some of these places was the influence of Western culture and imagery in Indonesia. Knowing that Western influence hasn't always been like the best thing in different parts of the world, it makes me kind of uncomfortable. But also, these people built this shrine, and they decided on this image. And so even when I was uncomfortable, I still lit a candle in these shrines. And I still worshiped with these people. So it's letting questions of enculturation develop, but recognizing the reverence and kind of the piety and the prayer persisting, that was more important.
This experience really has taught me to recognize the presence of Christ, the presence of God in other faiths. A lot of times we neglect to think that God is present in other religions, that we have the corner on God and the truth. And I think interreligious dialogue allows us to see God's presence in the other. One that stood out for me was when we went to the farming cooperative, getting to meet the farmers themselves and hearing from them firsthand the challenges, the joys of their work as agricultural farmers, and how climate change has affected their lives. And seeing the farmers actually work out on the fields. I mean, seeing them do back-breaking work just gives me a greater appreciation for the unnamed people who make our survival possible, for making our food available at our tables.
Our hospitality and generosity that we were both given from the Jesuits here, from the Christian community here, as well as from ICRS and the Muslim students who were our colleagues. Incredible hospitality and generosity on their part, and I think on our part.
Often said that to be religious in the present day, in the modern era, you must be interreligious. And I think part of that is also to be intercultural. I think in this global society with these various tensions of globalization, imposition and export of culture and religion, this is just made me realize that we're all part of a broader web of the inter-community, the inter-neighborhood, the international, that you pull one string and everything sort of moves.
This kind of cross ritual participation. So it is kind of back and forth. I go to a Muslim shrine, I experience some kind of spiritual presence there, and then I come back to my own shrine, so back and forth, like mutual hospitality, inviting in the richness of the other, but by bringing that richness to myself, it is enriching myself from within as well, but also expanding my religious and spiritual horizon.
At the conclusion of our classes at ICRS, when the students just jumped on the back of the motorbikes of the Muslim students, and all of us were headed towards our closing dinner. And just the joy in the faces of the Muslim students and the Christian students, our cohort, their cohort, coming together for a celebration. It was really, it was liturgy. Indeed, we took a meal together at Professor Bernie's house, but the whole ending of our class, the exchange of emails, the jumping on the back of the motorbikes, travel together, it was a Eucharistic liturgy, a real spirit of thanksgiving, and everybody was participating. I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Cannot form interreligious dialogue, cannot be separate from intercultural dialogue or political and other form of dialogue. It's a way to build bridges between people who had not really know each other very well. And eventually, from bridges to friendship, from friendship, we end up to be something else. Interreligious dialogue for me, first and foremost, is not about a philosophical convention or theological debate. Interreligious dialogue is to build friendship. We dialogue for the sake of building a common world together. From a common word, we're going to go to a common work to build a common world.
And I wish that this friendship can last longer.
I meant
as we are take apart.
This is like Prophet's birthday.
We can still contact each other and keep in touch.
Don't forget to come again in here. Yogyakarta, contact me down for Haki, okay?
I love you from JST Theology.
Wow.
Rise and shine.
Hawaii, meet with you again, okay?
Yes, bye.
Bye.
Dialogue of religions, but then the religions dialoguing with the society as a whole. You cannot do one without each one. And that if you attempt to do one without each one, it can undermine the very effectiveness of any one of those particular dialogues that you do.
Changed me. When I'm praying, I can never pray in the same way.
Journey in interreligious dialogue has also been one where I think we've developed our own sort of inter-community rapport and friendship.
It's amazing and good and wonderful. Making friends.
Find God in the experience.
I think it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience to travel to another country, not only as a tourist, but also as a pilgrim.
People of all other traditions are searching for truth, are searching for the meaning of life.
I really enjoyed that evening, was incredible for me.
There's ordinary Muslims here in Java who are living out their practice of faith in their own way.
I think the common word is kind of common sense. For two religious people to be in dialogue is a sense of becoming.
To say yes to these invitations from people throughout Indonesia and particularly from God.
It's an adventure that has definitely transformed my life, and I'm pretty sure that it will transform anybody's life as long as we are open to it.
Okay, 1, 2,